The rope was already tied when Captain James Holloway walked into the holding cell at Fort Davidson. 3 soldiers stood guard over a young Apache warrior who sat on the dirt floor, hands bound, face showing no fear, just defiance and something else, dignity. "The colonel wants him hanged at dawn," Sergeant Miller said, holding the noose like it was just another piece of equipment. "Says we need to send a message to the tribes. Make an example." James looked at the prisoner. The Apache couldn't have been more than 19 years old. "What did ye do? Killed 2 settlers, Miller replied. "Burned their cabin, found him with their horses and supplies." The warrior's eyes met James's. He didn't look away, didn't blink. James had seen a lot of men facing death. Most showed fear or anger or pleading. This young man showed none of that. "He says he didn't do it," a voice said from the shadows. A translator stepped forward, an older Apache man who worked at the fort. "He says he found the cabin already burning, took the horses to keep them from dying in the fire." "That's what they all say," Miller scoffed. Convenient story. James studied the prisoner more carefully. The young man's hands had no burns. His clothes had no soot. If he'd set a fire big enough to destroy a cabin, there would be evidence. "When did this happen?" James asked. 3 days ago, Miller said, "and we caught him yesterday morning, 20 miles north of here." James did the math. If the warrior had killed the settlers and burned their cabin, why would he still be in the area a full day later? Why wouldn't he run back to his tribe? That's not how raiders operated. They struck fast and disappeared faster. Did anyone actually see him kill the settlers? James asked. Miller shifted uncomfortably. "Well, no, but he had their horses. That's evidence enough for the colonel." James looked at the young Apache again. "What's his name?" The translator spoke to the prisoner, then turned back. "He is called Swift Arrow. He says he will not beg for mercy because he did nothing wrong. He says if white man's justice means hanging innocent people, then he will die with honor." There was something in the way the translator said it, a weight to the words that made James pause. He'd been a soldier for 12 years. He'd fought in battles, seen men die, given orders that sent good soldiers to their deaths, but he'd never executed an innocent man. And something in his gut told him this Apache was telling the truth. "The hanging is postponed," James said. Miller's eyes went wide. "Sir, the colonel gave explicit orders." "I'm aware of what the colonel ordered, Sergeant, and I'm giving you a new order. The prisoner stays alive until I can investigate this properly. Captain, with respect, the colonel is going to have your head for this. Then he can take it up with me directly," James replied. "Post a guard and make sure this man gets water and food. Real food, not scraps. And get those ropes off his wrists. They're too tight." He walked out of the cell before Miller could protest further. He knew what he was doing was dangerous. Colonel Patterson didn't tolerate insubordination, but James had learned long ago that following orders blindly could cost you more than your rank. It could cost you your soul. That night, James rode out to the burned cabin with 2 men he trusted. The structure was completely destroyed, just charred timber now. They searched the area carefully with torches. James found tracks, lots of them, at least 4 different horses, maybe 5. More importantly, he found boot prints, white man's boots, not moccasins. And he found something else, spent shell casings, 6 of them, scattered near where the cabin door would have been. "The Apache don't waste bullets like that," James said to his men. "They're too valuable. This looks like a fight happened here, or an execution." They kept searching and found the graves, freshly dug, hastily covered. 2 bodies. James had them carefully Both settlers had been shot in the back, not with arrows, with bullets. One of the men whistled low. "Captain, this wasn't a raid. This was murder, and whoever did it tried to make it look like Indians." James stood up and looked around the darkness. The question was why, and the answer hit him like a rifle shot. This land. The cabin sat on a creek with good water and fertile soil. Land like this was valuable. Someone wanted these settlers gone and wanted to blame the Apache. If you're following this story, you can see where it's going. But trust me, what happens next will shock you. They rode back to the fort as dawn was breaking. James went straight to the colonel's office. Patterson was a hard man in his 50s, with gray hair and eyes like chips of ice. He did not look happy to see James. "Captain Holloway, I understand you countermanded my direct order." "Yes, sir, I did." The colonel stood up slowly. "You understand that's grounds for court-martial?" "I understand, sir, but I have evidence that the Apache prisoner is innocent." Evidence? Patterson's voice was dangerously quiet. "What?" James laid out everything. The timeline that didn't make sense. The boot prints, the shell casings, the bullet wounds in the settlers' backs. This wasn't a raid, sir. This was murder, made to look like an Apache attack. The colonel listened without expression. When James finished, Patterson walked to his window. "Captain, do you know how many settlers we've lost to Indian attacks in the past year?" "At least 40, sir." "And do you know how many Apache we've actually caught and punished?" 3, including this one. Patterson turned back to face him. "The settlers are screaming for justice. The territorial governor is breathing down my neck. The army needs to show we're protecting American citizens." "With respect, sir, we protect them by catching the actual killers, not by hanging innocent men. That Apache boy didn't kill those settlers. Someone else did, and they're counting on us to blame the tribes." The colonel sat down heavily. "Even if you're right, even if I believed you, do you know what happens if I don't hang that prisoner? The settlers will riot. They'll say the army is protecting savages over whites. The governor will have my commission. And there's a political cost, sir. But there's also a moral one. We hang an innocent man. We're no better than murderers ourselves." Patterson stared at him for a long moment. "You're putting me in an impossible position, Captain." "Then let me investigate further," James pressed. "Give me 3 days. If I can't prove who really killed those settlers, I'll step aside. You'll hang him yourself." 3 days from now. The colonel considered this. 3 days. But the Apache stays in custody. "And if you can't deliver evidence, Captain, you'll face court-martial for insubordination." "Understood." James saluted and left before Patterson could change his mind. He had 72 hours to solve a murder and save an innocent man's life. No pressure. James started by talking to Swift Arrow properly. Through the translator, he learned the young warrior had been hunting alone when he saw smoke. He'd approached cautiously and found the cabin already destroyed. The horses were panicked, and he'd calmed them, planning to bring them to the fort because he knew whites valued horses. He'd been taught that returning lost property might build trust between his people and the settlers. Instead, he'd been arrested and sentenced to hang. It was a bitter lesson in frontier justice. "Who owns the land around that cabin?" James asked the fort's land office clerk. The clerk checked his records. Filed under the name Robert King, owns about 200 acres along that creek. Only the cabin wasn't Kincaid's. It belonged to a couple named Morrison. They filed a claim 6 months ago. The clerk frowned. "That's strange." Kincaid filed a complaint saying the Morrisons were squatting on his land. There was a hearing scheduled for next week. Not anymore, James muttered. Where can I find King? He's got a ranch about 10 miles west. Runs cattle, employs 4 or 5 men. James took 2 soldiers and rode to Kincaid's ranch. It was a decent spread with a main house and bunkhouse. Several men were working horses in a corral. Kincaid himself came out to meet them. Tall man with a thick beard and cold eyes. Captain, what brings the army out here? Just following up on the Morrison murders, James said, watching Kincaid's face carefully. Terrible thing. I heard you caught the Apache who did it. We caught an Apache near the scene, James corrected. Still investigating exactly what happened. Kincaid's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Well, I hope you hang him quick. Send a message to the rest of the savages. You had a land dispute with the Morrisons, didn't you? Kincaid shifted his weight. That was a legal matter. They were squatting on my property. I was handling it through proper channels. Proper channels take time, James observed. Murder is much faster. Kincaid's face darkened. You accusing me of something? Captain, just making observations. Where were you 3 nights ago? Right here. My men can vouch for that. James looked at the men working the horses. I'm sure they can. As he hoed away, one of his soldiers spoke up. You think Kincaid did it? I think Kincaid had motive and opportunity, James replied. And I think his men are loyal enough to lie for him. But thinking and proving are different things. That night, James made a decision that would change everything. He went to the cell and spoke to Swift Arrow directly through the translator. I believe you're innocent, he said, but I need your help. The people who killed those settlers are going to get away with it unless we can prove what really happened. Swift Arrow studied him with those dark, unreadable eyes. Why, you'll help me. You are white soldier. I help you because it's right, James said simply. Because hanging an innocent man is murder, no matter what uniform I wear. The young warrior was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, and the translator relayed his words. There were 5 horses at the burning cabin. I took 2. 3 were already gone when I arrived. 5 horses for 2 people. James seized on that. The Morrisons only had 1 horse according to records. Where did the other 4 come from? Swift Arrow continued speaking. I tracked the 3 horses that left. They go west toward the setting sun, toward where the white man with many cattle lives, toward Kincaid's ranch. James felt pieces clicking into place. Kincaid and 4 of his men ride to the Morrison cabin. They kill the couple, burn the evidence, and take 3 horses back. They leave the Morrison horse and 1 of their own to make it look like a raid. Swift Arrow finds the scene, takes the 2 remaining horses to return them, and walks right into a frame. It was elegant in its cruelty. Can you show me where those trucks led? James asked. Swift Arrow shook his head. You let me out of cage, your chief will hang you too. Maybe, James admitted, but I didn't become a soldier to let innocent people die. Neither the guilty ones nor the innocent ones. He turned to the translator. Ask him if he'll help me if I can arrange it. The translator spoke, and Swift Arrow responded with what might have been respect in his voice. He says you are either very honorable or very stupid. Probably both, but yes, if you free him, he will show you the truth. James made a decision that could end his career. That night, he returned to the cell with 2 horses. No guards, no witnesses. I'm going to unlock this door, he told Swift Arrow. We're going to ride out together and you're going to show me those tracks. If you run, I'll be court-martialed and hanged myself. If you help me, I'll do everything I can to prove your innocence. Swift Arrow stood and held out his bound hands. James cut the ropes. The young Apache rubbed his wrists and looked at James with new eyes. "You trust me?" "I'm choosing to," James said. "Don't make me regret it." They rode out into the night together. A white cavalry captain and an Apache prisoner who was supposed to hang at dawn. If anyone at the fort noticed, they didn't raise an alarm. Swift Arrow led him to the burned cabin and then picked up a trail that James would have missed entirely. The Apache moved like a ghost, reading signs in the darkness that James could barely see. After 2 hours, Swift Arrow stopped and pointed. "Tracks go there. To the ranch. But there is more." He led James to a small canyon about a mile from Kincaid's property. In the canyon were 3 horses, hidden in a makeshift corral. The brands had been burned off crudely. "These are the Morrison horses," Swift Arrow said. Through gestures and broken English, hidden until brands heal, then sold far away. No one know they are stolen. It was the proof James needed. Kincaid's men had killed the Morrisons, stolen their horses, and framed the Apache. They'd have sold the horses in a few weeks and claimed the land legally. Perfect crime, except for one honest Apache and one stubborn captain. "We need to get back," James said. But as they turned to leave, gunfire erupted. Bullets whipped past James's head and he threw himself from his horse. Swift Arrow was already moving, disappearing into the rocks with fluid grace. James drew his pistol and returned fire. At least 4 shooters, maybe more. Kincaid's men. They'd been spotted. "Captain!" a voice called out. "That's Kincaid's property you're trespassing on. And that's a prisoner you're helping escape." James recognized one of the ranch hands. "I'm investigating a murder," he called back. "And I've found evidence that your boss is guilty." "That's a lie," another voice shouted. "And it don't matter anyway. You're out here alone with an escaped Apache. No one's gonna believe whatever story you tell." James realized they were right. It was his word against Kincaid's, and he'd just broken a prisoner out of military custody. Even if he survived this, his career was over. Then Swift Arrow appeared beside him like a ghost. "Not alone," the Apache said. James almost jumped. "How did you?" "Never mind. How many of them?" Swift Arrow held up 6 fingers. "Too many for us. We need to get back to the fort." Swift Arrow shook his head. "They block path. We go other way, to my people." James hesitated. Going to an Apache camp could be just as dangerous as staying here. But the young warrior looked at him steadily. "You trust me before." "Trust me now." They ran together into the darkness, bullets chasing them. Kincaid's men pursued on horseback, but Swift Arrow knew this land. He led James through narrow passages and over terrain that horses couldn't follow. They ran for hours until James's lungs were burning and his legs felt like lead. Finally, as dawn was breaking, they emerged onto a plateau and stopped dead, because spread across the plateau were at least 300 Apache warriors, mounted and armed, facing toward Fort Davidson. James felt his blood run cold. Swift Arrow said something in Apache, and an older warrior rode forward. He looked at James with eyes that had seen too much death. "You are the soldier who would not hang my son," the warrior said in perfect English. "I am his father, and I have come for him." James looked at the army surrounding him. "This is why you helped me escape, to bring me to your people." Swift Arrow shook his head. "I did not know they would come, but my father is war chief. When I did not return, he gathered warriors." The old chief spoke again. "We came to take my son by force, to burn your fort if we must. But you, soldier, you let him go. You risk your life to prove his innocence. This is not expected. I couldn't let an innocent man hang, James said, even if he's Apache. Even if it costs me everything. The chief studied him for a long moment. Your fort is surrounded, he said. I have 300 warriors ready for war. But you have given me reason to hesitate. Tell me, soldier, why should I not attack? Because war will cost both our peoples more than either can afford, James said. Your son is innocent. I can prove it. But I need time, and I need to get back to the fort. If you attack now, guilty white men go free and innocent people die. Is that justice? The chief's expression didn't change. You speak well, but words are easy. How do I know you will keep your word? You don't, James admitted. Same way, I didn't know your son would keep his word when I freed him. But he did. We trusted each other, and now we're both still alive. If you enjoyed this story so far, imagine what happens next. Keep listening to find out. The chief turned to Swift Arrow, and they spoke rapidly in Apache. Finally, the old warrior looked back at James. My son says you are a man of honor, that you freed him, knowing it would destroy you, that you chose truth over safety. That's true, James said. Then I will give you 1 day, the chief said. 1 day to prove who killed the settlers. 1 day to bring the guilty to justice. If you fail, if you betray us, if you try to bring your army against us, we will burn your fort to ashes. And if I succeed, then perhaps there can be peace between us. For a little while, the chief jested, and warriors parted. You may go, but we will be watching every moment until sunset tomorrow. James nodded and started to walk away. Then he stopped and turned back. Thank you for trusting me. The chief's expression softened slightly. Do not thank me yet, soldier. Prove you are worthy of trust. Then we will speak again. James rode back to Fort Davidson as fast as his exhausted horse could manage. The sun was fully up now. He'd been gone all night. The fort was in chaos when he arrived. Soldiers were manning the walls. Artillery was being positioned. Scouts were reporting that hundreds of Apache warriors had surrounded them during the night. Colonel Patterson was in his office, face red with fury. Holloway, where the hell have you been? And where is the prisoner? James stood at attention. Sir, I can explain. You'd better explain damn quick, Patterson roared, because right now it looks like you freed a murderer and brought an Apache army down on our heads. The prisoner is innocent, sir, and I can prove it. James laid out everything. The hidden horses, the tracks, Kincaid's motive. Patterson listened, his face getting darker. Even if this is true, he said when James finished, even if Kincaid killed those settlers, you broke a prisoner out of military custody. You violated direct orders. You committed treason. I did what was necessary to find the truth, James said. And now we have 1 day to prove it, or 300 warriors are going to overrun this fort. Patterson walked to the window. The Apache were visible on every ridge, every hill, a noose of warriors drawn tight. How do you propose we prove any of this? We bring Kincaid in. We confront him with the evidence. We make him confess. And if he doesn't, then we search his ranch, find the hidden horses, and let the evidence speak for itself. Patterson turned back. You realize this could still end in war? If Kincaid's men resist, if shooting starts, those Apache will attack. I know, sir, but it's the only chance we have. The colonel sat down heavily. You've put us in an impossible situation, Captain, but you may have also saved us from hanging an innocent man and starting a war over a lie. He stood and called for his officers. "We ride in 1 hour. Full platoon. Heavy arms. We're going to arrest Robert Kincaid for murder." The ride to Kincaid's ranch was tense. 40 soldiers, fully armed, ready for a fight. But James noticed something as they rode. Apache scouts watching from the ridges. Silent shadows making sure the soldiers kept their word. Kincaid saw them coming and met them in his yard with his men, all armed, all ready. "What's this about, Captain?" Colonel Patterson spoke. "Robert Kincaid, you're under arrest for the murder of John and Sarah Morrison." "That's ridiculous," Kincaid blustered. "I told you I was here that night." "Your men lied," James said, "and we found the Morrison horses hidden in a canyon on your property, brands burned off, waiting to be sold." Kincaid's face went pale. "You can't prove anything." "Actually, we can," Patterson said, "and you're going to hang for it unless you want to confess and maybe get prison instead of a noose." Kincaid looked at his men, then back at the 40 soldiers with rifles trained on them. His shoulders slumped. "They were squatters," he said quietly. "On my land, I asked them to leave. They refused." Things got heated. James's voice was hard. "You shot them in the back." Kincaid's jaw tightened. "They shouldn't have been on my land." "And the Apache?" Patterson asked. "You were going to let us hang an innocent man. Better a savage than me," Kincaid spat. The colonel nodded to his men. "Take him, chain him, and arrest his crew as accessories to murder." As Kincaid was being dragged away in chains, James felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. It was done. They had the killers. The Apache could see justice was being served. Maybe, just maybe, they could avoid a war. They brought Kincaid and his men back to the fort in chains. The Apache watched from the hills, silent witnesses to white man's justice. As the sun was setting, the old chief rode down alone, stopping at the fort's gate. Patterson and James met him there. "You have the killers?" the chief observed. "We do," Patterson confirmed. "They will be tried and hanged for murder." The chief nodded slowly. "My son was right about you," he said, looking at James. "You are a man of honor. You chose truth when lie would have been easier." James met his eyes. "Your son is free to go. He's innocent, and I'll make sure everyone knows it." The chief smiled slightly. "My son told me you would say this. He also told me he wishes to stay. Stay. Here, at the fort." The chief shook his head. "Near here, he says there is much to learn from soldier who keeps his word, and perhaps much to teach. He wants to be a bridge between our peoples." James felt something loosen in his chest, like hope, maybe? That would be good. "We need bridges." The chief extended his hand. James took it. The handshake between a cavalry captain and an Apache war chief, witnessed by both armies, it didn't solve everything. There would still be conflicts, still be misunderstandings, still be violence between whites and natives. But it was a start, a small moment of trust in a world that desperately needed more of them. The chief rode back to his warriors. Within an hour, they had disappeared like smoke, melting back into the hills and canyons they knew so well. The siege was over. The fort was safe, and one innocent man was free because one captain had refused to follow an unjust order. That night, Patterson called James to his office. "You're aware that you still broke regulations," he said. "You freed a prisoner, left your post without authorization, and put this entire fort at risk." "Yes, sir," James said. "I'm prepared to face court-martial." Patterson poured 2 glasses of whiskey. The hell you are. You just prevented a war and caught a murderer the territorial government has been looking for. The governor wants to pin a medal on you, not court-martial you. He handed James a glass. You did good, Captain. You made the hard choice, and it paid off. Thank you, sir. But I didn't do it for recognition. I know, Patterson said. You did it because it was right. That's why you're a good officer, even when you're an insubordinate pain in my ass. They drank in comfortable silence. Then Patterson spoke again. What are you going to do about the Apache boy? Swift Arrow, James considered. I thought I'd offer him a job. Translator, scout, cultural liaison. We need someone who can help us understand the tribes better, and he needs someone who won't judge him for what he is. Patterson nodded. Do it, but keep him close. There are plenty of soldiers and settlers who won't like an Apache working at the fort. I will, sir. Swift Arrow proved himself. He deserves a chance. In the weeks that followed, James's instinct proved right. Swift Arrow became an invaluable bridge between the fort and the Apache tribes. He helped negotiate peaceful trading. He warned of potential conflicts before they became violent. He taught soldiers about Apache culture and honor, and he became James's friend. A genuine friendship built on mutual respect and trust. The kind of friendship that frontier legends are made of. Kincaid and his men were tried and hanged for murder. The territorial governor publicly apologized to the Apache tribes for the false accusation. It didn't undo the damage of years of mistrust, but it was acknowledged, and acknowledgement mattered. Years later, when James was promoted to major and transferred to a different post, Swift Arrow came to say goodbye. You saved my life, the Apache said more than once. You saved your own life, James replied, by choosing to trust me when you had every reason not to. They clasped hands. Will we meet again? Swift Arrow asked. In this life or the next, James said. Either way, brother. Swift Arrow smiled. Either way, if you've stayed with this story until the end, thank you. Stories like this remind us that courage sometimes means standing alone against everyone, that justice matters more than orders, that trust can be built even between enemies. If this moved you, subscribe for more true frontier tales. Share this with someone who needs to hear about refusing to compromise on what's right. Captain James Holloway served with distinction for another 15 years. He was known throughout the frontier as a fair man who treated all people with respect, native and white alike. He never forgot the night he freed an innocent prisoner and woke to find himself surrounded by an army. Never forgot choosing truth over safety. Never forgot that sometimes the hardest orders are the ones you have to refuse. Swift Arrow lived to be an old man, respected by both his people and the whites who knew him. He told stories to his grandchildren about the soldier who risked everything to save him, about the night 300 warriors prepared for war and one man's honor prevented bloodshed. Their friendship became a legend. The Apache and the captain, two men from different worlds who chose trust over hate, who proved that justice and honor weren't defined by skin color or uniform, just by the choices you make when everything is on the line. That's the story of the captain who refused to hang an innocent man and woke to find an army at his gates, not because he was the bravest or the strongest, but because he refused to let fear or politics make him compromise his principles. And sometimes that's the kind of courage that changes history. The kind that starts with one person saying no to injustice even when everyone else is saying yes. Even when it could cost everything. Because some things are worth more than safety or career or even life itself. Truth is one of them. Honor is another. And the courage to stand for both when the whole world tells you to sit down. That's worth everything.